Playing these sure was an interesting experience. First of all, the fighting. The fighting system is different from all the other games, and it was apparently based on Def Jam Fight for New York, or at least developed by the same company. It feels a little bit more like a fighting game than a beat 'em up. But these games also feel a lot more RPG-like than the other games in the series, as there's a bigger focus on leveling up and increasing stats. In the first game you simply buy stat increases, while in the sequel you get points after leveling up that you use on 6 different stat areas. I prefer the system in the sequel, but on the other hand that makes money a little less important. After every battle in the second game you get little bonuses based on things you did in battle, which adds a little bit of extra experience, and it reminds me of Smash Brothers. You can unlock many different fighting styles and switch between them at any time on the map or before any fight, but not from within one. Some of the fighting styles included are boxing, Muay Thai, pro wrestling, and karate. Each style makes you stronger in some areas and weaker in others. Like boxing would make your fist attacks better, but your kicks worse, and so on. But the differences aren't really huge. You still always have punches, kicks, grabs and heat moves, no matter what style you use. You can counter in the first game by pressing L and square at the same time when an enemy attacks, but I can't seem to do it in the second game, so I have to assume they removed it. I think my favorite part to the fighting is the dodging. You press X and a direction at the same time to dodge, and if you do it correctly, at least in the first game, you get a nice slow-mo and can follow it up with a counter punch. There are no counter kicks. You can also hold down a punch or kick button, and if you charge enough, you smack the enemy so hard that the camera angle switches. Heat moves works with grabs only, not with weapons. They're powerful though and vary with each style. They also vary with the level of heat you have, blue or red. In the second game, enemies sometimes reject the heat move and push you away, which is kind of annoying. Also only in the second game, bystanders join in sometimes by grabbing you, which can allow the enemy to get a few free hits. Another little factor to fights is that you can get tired, usually after a couple of combos, but this improves as your stamina stat increases. I also have to mention that the quick time events in battle are really annoying. It seems like when enemies grab you, you usually can't escape no matter how much you mash the button. In both games you have your life bar like normal, but you also get hurt in 4 different areas of the body. Stamina and toughness drinks don't heal these, so you have to use medicines or first aid kits or whatever they are. Speaking of life bars, neither of the games show the life bar of the enemies, including bosses. It actually does make me nervous. Both games take place in Kamurocho, but the sequel also has Sotenbori Osaka, first seen in Yakuza 2. You're not in Osaka as much in this as you were in Yakuza 2, but it's still cool. Because the Yakuza developers are very good with continuity, Kamurocho in the first PSP game looks like it did in Yakuza 4, which was the most recent game at the time, and in the second game Kamurocho looks like it did in Yakuza Dead Souls. The game that they say isn't canon, but I like to think it is anyway. Almost all the shops and places that are in the regular series are in these games. Bowling, golf, and the batting center are here, as well as karaoke. Although the karaoke was shit in the first game, in the second they actually made a rhythm music game out of it instead of just a button mashing contest. And is that really Majima singing? As I said earlier, the money is less important in the second game, and that makes the jobs less important. Jobs are special minigames that you can do at the stores to earn money. In the first game I did these a lot to gain money, but only really once a piece in the second game just to try them out. You'll take orders at Smileburger, stack ice cream at the Gelateria, smack pervs at the strip club, make noodles or something at Kyushu No. 1 Star, and even rope in customers for the Hostess Club. In Osaka there are 2 more jobs, picking up what I think is yakitori and spinning takoyaki? It's a fun idea though, I like it. Hostess Clubs are improved in these games. On top of the regular talking, there are amusing button prompt events. The games have random encounters like any Yakuza game has. In the first game, random gang members and thugs would just run at you and that's it, but the sequel made some tweaks. The gang members usually just loiter around, and if they see you, they'll chase you. They give very little experience though, but if you run into guys in suits and sunglasses, they'll get angry and chase you, and these guys are tougher and give more experience. Also, if you bump into women, sometimes nearby guys will get angry and white knight for her. The sequel also added kind of a random crime system, sort of similar to the police scanner in Yakuza 4. Sometimes when out walking you'll see a fight between some people, a woman getting her bag stolen or something similar, and you can choose to help out for a bit of experience. For that reason it's pretty useful at first, but it gets repetitive after a while, and the incidents recycle themselves a lot too. If you run into fat guys, they're apparently stronger than you or something, so you just fall over. Strewn about Kamurocho are invisible cats that you collect for the trainer that acts like the Komaki of these games. When you walk near where they are, you hear a... and you press circle a bunch to catch them. As you get more and more, the trainer rewards you with training discounts. In the sequel, the cats you find all go to a cat cafe, very Japanese, and you can visit at any time to just chill with the cats. Pointless, but cute. The sequel made a couple more general improvements. You can put waypoints on the map, but best of all, you can save anywhere, and not just at hideouts. That does make the hideouts less important, but I don't mind. There are sub-stories in these games too, of course, but with the language barrier I can't say that much about them. They're marked on the map with question marks though, which is convenient. And in the second game there's a sub-story with Fake Kiryu. Fake Kiryu was featured in Yakuza 2 and 4 before, and seeing another one here was cool. Any attempt to remind me of the regular series is something I welcome. Now for the stories. Both of these games are only in Japanese, and neither have any guides online to help me, so the story wasn't always easy to follow or even understand, understandably. I've talked about the premise of the first game in my impressions video, but here's the premise to the second game. 1 year after the events of the first, Tatsuya has started a promising career as a professional fighter, and he's fighting in Las Vegas. Then he's made aware that a group from Osaka called Ashura somehow want to destroy Dragon Heat, the underground fighting ring where he made his name in the first game. So he goes back to Japan to protect it and the group of teens that train there. The leader of the place is Ryusho Kuki, the son of the man who forced Tatsuya to fight there in the first game. Tatsuya has really matured since the first game apparently, because while in the first game he was an aggressive jerk, here he's almost a mentor to the younger guys, and he doesn't lose his temper nearly as often. Another contributing factor and reason I like Tatsuya a lot more in this game is that they changed his voice actor. I really hated his voice in the first game. Many times I wished that Kazuma, Majima or someone else from the regular series would just step in and punch his lights out to make him shut the fuck up and stop being a douche. But the new guy is much better. Speaking of characters from the regular series, a few here and there are here and there. Yuya is at Stardust like usual, you visit the florist once in each game to get info, and Doc Emoto can help you whenever you like for 5,000 yen. I've also seen Akiyama and Hana make cameos when you work at Kyushu number 1 star. But about the story again. I like the story of the second game more, but that was probably because when I played the second game I knew a little bit more Japanese, and that helps, as well as Tatsuya's voice being changed. Even though these games are on PSP and not that many of you Westerners, like me, will probably end up playing them, I still won't spoil what I know happens. But I will say that both games end with fights on top of the Millennium Tower. Classic. In the regular series there was always post-game content, like the premium adventure which is also present in this. A nice touch to that is that the level cap is raised on the second playthrough. There are also kind of challenge battles, which was also in the regular series, but here you can play as other characters in them. Finally, you can watch the strip club show for free. I had kind of a rocky road playing these two games, mostly with the first. There's a lot of grinding, long cutscenes, and difficult boss fights. The second game was better on all fronts, and more enjoyable, and that might have something to do with the fact that I was playing on easy instead of normal. Were I to rank the Yakuza series, these games would no doubt go on the bottom, but that doesn't mean they're bad. The standard of the Yakuza series is quite high indeed, and these two are certainly very good for PSP. They should have been localized, but that's my mantra when it comes to the Yakuza series. And if I would have understood everything in these games, I might have enjoyed them even more than I did. I think when I've learned more Japanese, I will play them again. Or when KH8 Subs finishes translating. But what I think I'll remember most from these games will be... On the head!